Welcome back. All right, let's look at the next part of your CERR sorting slideshow activity. I will go ahead and share my screen again. So we are on slide 8. You're watching this video right now. On slide 9, it talks about the difference between evidence and reasoning. So with evidence, it is research that supports a claim. It can be data or observations, text or research support. It's usually stronger when it is something that is quoted from a text or if it comes from a reputable source. For example, if you were if you're writing a claim based on maybe a political stance, your evidence, you would want to make sure that it's coming from a credible source that wasn't biased. If you found a quote from one political party, for example, versus another one, it might show that your evidence is a little off. So you always want to try to find strong evidence from a credible source, a neutral source. Reasoning. Reasoning is the rationale or the reasoning, it's just a fancier word for reasoning, for the claim and your evidence. So why is that your claim? How does your claim support, or how does your evidence support your claim? So the reasoning is what ties everything together. You're basically explaining why you think this without saying the words I or you. So let's go ahead and look at slide 10. On slide 10, it's reasoning or evidence. And you have a hint there to help you out, just like before. So some of these entries are reasonings and others are evidence. If you think that it's reasoning, then you would just delete the question mark and you would type reasoning. Or if you think it's evidence, you would type evidence, and so on. Let me hit back there so it doesn't mess that up for you. There we go. So that is slide 10. Then we're going to go on to slide 11. Now, slide 11 is going to introduce something that we haven't talked about very much together, and that would be the rebuttal. The rebuttal, which actually has two parts, so it's kind of sneaky. The rebuttal has something called a counterclaim. Now, remember, you're giving a claim, so if someone counters you, that's when they give you the other side of the argument. So if you're saying that blue is the best color, a counterclaim would be somebody who comes in and says, no, blue isn't the best color, it's yellow, right? So a counterclaim is something that doesn't match you. So when you are going to give a strong argument, you always want to actually point out what your opponents might say and then prove them wrong. It shows that you are strong in your argument. You're so strong that you're willing to point out what other people might be saying that's against you, and then you're taking the time to refute it and explain why that's wrong. So again, the rebuttal has two parts. The counterclaim, which is someone else's stance, someone else's opinion, and then you actually refute or you write that rebuttal against them. So let's look at our example on slide 12. On slide 12, it reads, Sally Smith said in her article that Harry Potter is a childish book series not meant for deep thinking. So this would be a counterclaim to one of my papers, right? Because I'm sure you know I would be writing about how Harry Potter is amazing. But Sally Smith, her counterclaim, she goes against me. She says that Harry Potter is a childish book series not meant for deep thinking. So if you look at the key, this shows that that's the counterclaim because it's pointing out what someone else would say. Now, I'm going to start my rebuttal here in yellow. I wrote, Sally Smith is clearly confused and has not read the series herself. It is a captivating, inspiring fantasy for all ages. So that's how I refuted her stance. I actually went in to make it stronger by giving evidence to back myself up. I added, in fact, According to Cueto, a well-known book critic, it is a valuable story. She explains, quote, "The adult in me finds the series just as meaningful as the child me did. In fact, if anything, growing up just gives me a whole new perspective and possible takeaway message from the books." So that's an actual quote. I went and I found some evidence to help support me. So that's just support. All right. So when you go to slide 13, you have a little paragraph here, and it's broken into sentences. You have, some might say that basketball is the best sport to play. It has been pointed out by Lance West, a sports enthusiast, that basketball is physically the best for the human body and helps players stay in shape. This claim is wrong, though, because Lance West is not taking into consideration the toll basketball takes on the human body. According to the American Orthopedic Society for Sports Medicine, basketball players often suffer from ankle sprains, jammed fingers, knee injuries, deep thigh bruisings, facial cuts, and foot fractures from all their sports. So your goal here is to try to figure out which sentence or sentences represent the counterclaim. And then you would type those sentences here. So if you think it's sentence number 4, you would just put a 4 there. If you think it's sentence 2 and 4, you can put 2, 4, whatever you think. And then which sentence or sentences are the rebuttal? Same thing. But remember, you should go back to slide 12 as a reference. You don't just guess. Use your brain and use your resources to try to determine which sentence or sentences are the counterclaim and rebuttal. And that is it for your Tuesday work. Let me know if you have any questions. Bye.